Hey guys, JP. Today I'm bringing you a game analysis video of a match between Mikhail on the white pieces and Bent Larsen on the black pieces. This game took place at uh, the Candidates Tournament match in 1965. So the Candidates Tournament, which we still have today, is the winner gets the right to challenge the current world champion. So these guys are playing to um, get a chance to be the world champion. And Bent Larsen was a Danish grandmaster. He's also a very well known and published chess author. So Bent Larsen was no joke, but Mikhail, as we all, if you guys have watched some of my other videos, um, he was at one point a world champion, which Bent Larsen never was. And it's funny, both of these guys had similar styles. They were both very unorthodox. If that's sort of an oxymoron. They were both similar in that they played unorthodox, but they're both very creative and great attacking players. So, getting right into the game, we have e4, e5, very standard, and Mikhail on the white pieces starts with a Roy Lopez. We have a two knights defense, and we just castle right away. For development, Tal challenges the center, and we just have very normal developing moves. We have a lot of early trades, which we will see this actually turns into a fairly quick game. Only 37, and that just totally reset. That's not what I wanted. We're about here. So I found this move interesting. Normally with this pawn structure setup, you might be inclined to fianchetto the bishop on this diagonal, but Tal actually brought his bishop to a3, possibly looking to challenge black's dark squared bishop and just trade it off. So we kick the knight away, and now our queen's attack. So we still, we have to move the queen, but we still have to defend the knight. And black still isn't castled, but yeah, there you go. So this bishop here on the 6th rank is a very good defender of the king. This knight is sort of on its way to develop somewhere, and these pieces still have to do something. It's still pretty even. This pawn's undefended, so we have some imbalances. A little bit of imbalance, but it's still very even. Tal brings his rook to the open file. Better to use this rook rather than the f rook, because then you want this rook maybe to come to this file. Notice, if it's switched, then this rook only has these options. So it's important not to block in your pieces. And now we have both our rooks in the center, and this game is just very principled. Neither player's done anything crazy. They just developed normally and played safe. So now we bring our bishop back here, and Tal didn't have much to play for the king side over here, so he's trying some queen side stuff, hence the a pawn push. And we've gotten our pawn all the way to the 5th rank. We're challenging this knight. He has to move somewhere. So he's just going back. So now we have some more space on the queen side, and we're not usually the side with more space is looking to not trade his pieces off. So white is going to attempt to use his space advantage on the queen side to get something done. Black tries to challenge. We have so our knight is centralized, just pieces in the center. They have, especially knights are significantly better when they're placed in the center because they have the most reach. And now that the bishops see each other, black just decides to trade those bishops off, which was the best move that he had available to him. And we see this interesting rook lift here. Rook lifts always have to be played with an air of caution, especially when there's a bunch of pawns and stuff on the board still. It could be a little bit awkward to expose your rook. It's definitely warranted at times, but you have to be wary of it. It's not something you should be looking to do all the time. But in this case, we're swinging our rook in to, try to break down some of black's structures on the queen side. And at this point, we actually see white does have a bit of advantage. He was able to, trying to see where the move was. Picked up a pawn somewhere. Oh, it was, excuse me. It was black that picked up a pawn, but because of our space advantage and the coordination of our pieces, the engine actually evaluates Tal as having the advantage of +1, even down a pawn. That is the significance of our space advantage and piece coordination. So now, really taking advantage of that space, taking advantage of all that space that we have. We kick the knight away. Black. So there's definitely counterplay on both sides. We have all this space, but black is threatening to promote. So we could just block it. Queen comes in, attacking the weak c pawn. White connects these two pieces together in the center. And finally, on move, what was this, 29? Yeah, black makes a mistake here. So he tries to move his knight away, but it sets himself up to lose his c and d pawn, as you'll see. So now we took the pawn with, he's got to move the knight again. And even though he moves his knight to the best square, we just pick up this pawn. So now even if black takes this pawn here, we're up 2 pawns for his 1. And then both sides play unimpressive moves, but black unfortunately makes another mistake. So you always have to be aware of pins, and Tal actually has a tactical opportunity for winning an exchange here. See, the way these black pieces are oriented, if he was to swing his rook back, the knight has nowhere to move because once the knight moves out of the way, this rook would then capture the rook on e5. And since the square is already attacked by the queen, if he recaptures with his rook, then we would just pick up the second rook, essentially winning a knight. So rather than giving up the knight for nothing, black basically sacrifices an exchange. So he will capture this knight, but we're going to capture his rook. And his rook, like I said, is not able to recapture because we're controlling the square with our queen. So he made the best of a bad situation, but now he's down in exchange. And Tal is doing very, very well here. The engine evaluates him almost +7. We'll see a couple more moves played. Tal wants to kick away this knight because it's defending this pawn here, and we just want to pick that up. So Larsen comes back to protect his king, but now we just pick up the knight. And he's down another exchange. He exchanged a pawn for a knight. And after Tal's next move, capturing black's only remaining threat, which was promoting, Larsen actually resigned here. because he's down a rook and a pawn, and Tal is unstoppable here. He's just going to win. So that brings us to the end of the video here. What we could take away from this video is the advantage, or the significance of a space advantage. So you saw how White had so much dominance over the game just by utilizing his space advantage over on the queen side here. These 3 files over here. You know, space advantage is definitely something that people overlook. You know, especially lower rated players, they tend to focus purely on material. And you could see that even though black was up material, the engine actually preferred white's position. So take space when you can, and then use your pieces within that space to further leverage your advantage. Okay? Thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video.